Hey guys, welcome to the Avatar Evolution Movement and Mobility Masterclass. My name is Teamo Franco, and today I will be showing you how to unlock the potential within your body by harnessing the power of change rather than fighting against it. Whether you're an athlete that wants to enhance your performance, a professional that wants to take your client support to the next level, or a fitness enthusiast that wants to get out of cycles of pain or injury, today I'm going to be showing you how to rebuild your capacity for life, not just fitness. So let's get started. A little bit about me. I have over 12 years in the health and fitness industry, helping people with their mobility, performance, and longevity, transforming long-standing conditions such as scoliosis, regenerative disc disease, and even helping people with strokes and other serious neurological conditions like that. And I'm distilling all of that experience and wisdom into today's presentation to give you the framework to understand how to listen to what your body's actually saying to you and start to think about new ways of approaching movement and training to really support your body and live your best possible life. This isn't just about your capacity to exercise. This is about your capacity to live. The goal is to move from this idea of just push the body, push the body, push the body into build the system. Build the best possible body and don't just thrash it in the gym and then have long-standing issues, pain, and injuries that stop you actually doing the things that you love and need to do in your life. So a question for you, what happens when your body can't keep up with life? We all know that movement is important, but why is it meaningful to you? Does your career depend on movement? Do you need a healthy, functional, and strong body in order to show up to work and help your clients or your students? Or are you a professional athlete that needs to be in the best possible shape and condition in order to win your competitions and progress your career? Or are you a parent or professional that needs to be able to look after your children or your business and needs to be able to show up yourself in the best possible condition so that you're able to do that with ease and enjoyment? What happens when your body can't keep up with life? Generally, we're experiencing stress. We're experiencing things harder to be able to deal with. They're harder to be able to deal with and still be smiling. Maybe we're experiencing illnesses from that stress, or we're experiencing injuries. And so I want you to really understand what is creating injuries and how to be able to prevent them. Because injuries don't just stop training. They stop work, purpose, and momentum. If you can't show up and keep progressing at what you're doing, all of a sudden, injuries aren't just stopping you from going to the gym, they're stopping you from making progress in life about the things you care about. And most people, when it comes to injuries, are either just stopping training altogether or they're training harder. They're trying to push through it. Very few people are training wiser, learning how to actually listen to their body and apply that in their everyday life for better outcomes. And something I really want you to keep in mind while we're going through this is that this is not just about fixing one problem or even a couple of problems. This is happening for you to go to the next level. Go to the next level with your relationship to your body, with your relationship to other people around you. And this is happening so that you're able to actually develop that relationship with yourself, develop this understanding of how to listen to your body and look after it in a way that really supports you and your body. This is not just about fixing one little thing. That's just the pain point entry into understanding yourself and having a better relationship with yourself, and in turn having a better relationship with life. So let's get clear on a few common misconceptions. Time does not equal healing. Healing takes place during time, but what you do in that time will influence whether you heal or whether you just scar and end up with more problems down the line. Also, just understand that forcing things is not going to get better outcomes either. if you force yourself during the time that you're meant to be healing to do more of the same thing that caused the problem in the first place, you're going to have more problems. And if you don't do anything during that time when you're healing, your body is not getting the actual inputs that it needs to heal properly, and you're still going to have problems. So how do we understand what our body needs and how to give it to it so that we can heal effectively and reduce the likelihood of having more problems later on down the line? We would need to understand how to give our body better inputs and not just looking at outputs. So one helpful formula to just understand this whole process is simply that injury equals when demand is greater than capacity. So if your capacity is not able to meet the demands of life, of exercise, of whatever it is that you're doing, there's going to be some level of injury happening. Hopefully just a small level of injury, just a little bit of your body going, stop that, and not a fully blown your body going, I tried to get you to listen, you didn't listen, and now this has happened. If that is the case, don't beat yourself up about it. You don't need to beat yourself up about it. You just need to recognize that this is your body's way of asking you to listen. Okay? And so working with this equation, we're going to start to understand the different elements that you're going to need in order to be able to prevent injuries from happening, but also how to rehabilitate injuries and then build upon those foundations to be able to generate strength and higher levels of performance. And so the key here is that your capacity is largely dependent on your abilities managed with fatigue. So you can have all the abilities in the world, strength, speed, endurance, but if you're fatigued, if your body is not recovering properly from your training, from your lifestyle, your capacity is going to be limited by that fatigue. And that's something that we go into in our course, helping people to understand how to be able to actually create a lifestyle that really nourishes and recovers your body from all the activities that you're doing. And this is giving you support with your capacity to be able to actually focus on the things that you need to do. And from this, I want you to just really understand you are not broken. You're just operating on the wrong side of capacity. If you keep trying to push your body and you aren't giving it what it needs, it's going to keep creating those outputs. But if you get onto the right side of capacity and understand how to give your body what it needs, you're going to support your body to redevelop its recovery, redevelop its capacity, and then be able to meet the demands of life that you need it to. And you're still moving forward. Sometimes we have a long-term goal and we see ourselves not making progress towards that or having hurdles or obstacles in the way, we can get depressed. We can be sad about that and we can kind of feel a bit deflated and discouraged. But I want you to understand is that by being here and learning this, you're understanding how to set new short-term goals that will help you to progress towards that long-term goal in a way that's really sustainable. And this is going to help you to get back on track to doing what you love. So, understanding the framework of movement is essentially going to help you to understand all movement, all capacity, and then focus on which areas really need what in order to be able to recover, rehabilitate, get stronger, and perform at their best. So this framework is including this concept of workspace, which is essentially the space that you can move within, that you can work within. And if you don't have movement option, if you don't have movement space, then you're going to be limited in what work you can do. If you are restricted in your movement, if you have tightness, if you can't move in a particular direction or range of motion, you can't move there, which means you can't work there. And so that's going to be being on the wrong side of capacity. But if we start to understand workspace, not just on this global full body level, doing activities like running, weightlifting, yoga, Pilates, but really actually understanding this on a local level, what does this joint need? What does this area of my body need? You can get onto the right side of capacity and give your body what it actually requires so that you can get back to doing what you love. And the key here is that there are people who are doing exercises for their body, which are helpful for their body. But if you are a high level athlete or you are a professional and you need specific, well managed training, you need to be aiming for the minimal effective dosage from the exercises that you're performing. Not just lots of body movements doing this and that, but highly specific, goal focused exercises that are able to achieve the results and improve your capacity without creating excessive fatigue. And we're going to get into this a little bit more. So when we think of an exercise like running, which is a full body exercise, it's happening in your global workspace. And we look at this through the abilities lens, also known as biomotor abilities, aka bio is body or living. Motor is kind of like a car, and then abilities is, if you thought of your body like a car and the abilities that it have, it would probably look something like this chart where you have a progressible level of that ability. And if we look at all of those abilities together and we look at different activities, we can see which activities are good for which type of training outputs. So when we think about running, great. It's the most natural human movement after breathing and walking. It's fantastic for endurance, and it does also require some training for coordination, strength, flexibility, and speed. However, it's limited in what it will provide you in those areas. So while it's good for endurance, we know that runners without other types of training are quite likely to develop pain and injuries due to muscular imbalances or other things like that. And so what we want you to understand is that with running, it's fantastic for this, but it's not really so great for these other things. So if you do running, fantastic, love it. But if you still have injuries and you want to resolve those, you're going to need something else, maybe just additional. You don't have to stop running. So then let's do some weightlifting. That'll help, right? Let's do some strengthening work. But it really depends how you're doing your weightlifting. There's lots of different types of it, depends who you talk to and what they understand. But in general, strength training is focused on this weightlifting, doing resistance training, getting stronger at doing certain things by doing them over and over again with a greater challenge. And so weightlifting is great for developing strength. It's also actually pretty good for developing coordination, speed, flexibility, and endurance in slightly different ways to running. But it's helpful because people will do something like running and then they'll combine that with the weightlifting, so they get a bit more of a well-rounded approach. However, you're probably not training all the places that you need to. You're probably getting tightness in certain areas and having some sort of discomfort or joint pain popping up periodically or maybe all the time. Okay, great. So let's do some yoga. Yoga's really good for flexibility. Lots of passive stretching, lots of lengthening. However, it's not really getting you to train any of these other things. It requires some strength, but not very high levels of it. It does require some coordination, but again, not high levels of it. It doesn't really touch speed, and endurance kind of goes as far as your practice does. So again, it depends who is teaching you, what they're teaching you, and if you were needing to get all of these things from doing running, plus weightlifting, plus stretching, you're going to be doing 3 different types of activities that aren't really taking you to the highest levels of performance that you could be going, and are probably quite generalized and not specific to what you need. Thus, they're creating more fatigue than is ideal and actually preventing you from being able to recover fully and be at your maximum capacity to perform at your best. Okay, so maybe let's scrap off yoga. What about Pilates? Pilates is pretty good. And actually, it kind of is. It's a bit better than yoga in the sense of there's more active contractions, there's more controlling your movements, and there's less passive stretching. So this is great for developing strength, but it also does focus on flexibility. However, we work with yoga teachers, we work with weightlifters, we work with Pilates teachers who all have injuries, have chronic back pain, have hip problems, have you name it, because these are just activities. And while they're geared towards doing certain things, they're not really scientifically defined, and they're not really purposely made to improve the human body as much as they are as a class or a choreography that you go and you enjoy with people in a social setting, do an activity. It's good for you, it's physical activity, but it's not high level. It's not taking you to the highest levels of performance that your body can, and it's also not looking at the specifics as much as your body would probably need if you're working through pain and injuries. So this is why trends fail, but systems scale. Trends come and go. There are things that people do for periods of time, but systems are scientifically grounded. They're focused on your anatomy, your physiology, things that are true about the human body and not just about that activity. Okay, so we want to shift away from this, oh, what's everyone doing, into what do I actually need to do? There's always going to be shiny objects. There's always going to be things that you can spend time doing. But are you spending time doing the things that your body actually needs? And if you don't understand what your body actually needs, chances are that your body is not getting that. So when we think about shifting from this trends mindset into a systems mindset, this is where you're really going to understand the approach that we take and how this helps to solve all of these problems. With AE methods, we are defining the parameters of human anatomy, physiology, and neurology to make sure that we have a clear framework of what the process and limits of human physiology are, so that we're able to actually train those specifically to the highest levels. And this is where we focus on not just global activities, but also local activities, focusing on not just what the whole body can do, but what the individual parts of the body can do. Because while the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, making the parts even greater makes the whole even greater too. And so we have things like mobility training, which is specifically focused on improving our ranges of motion, improving the way that we move and the capacity of each individual joint. We also have strength training, which we're giving a maximum rating to, because we aren't just getting strong at some movements, we're making the whole system strong. We're not training to just get better at doing a lift, a squat, a deadlift, a bench, whatever. We are training to make sure that the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists, the spine, everything that contributes to those movements is functioning healthily and at its best. And again, we're defining conditioning, cardiovascular conditioning, muscular endurance conditioning, not just as something that you do to make your endurance better, but understanding how to make your training specific to the type of activities that you do. Do you need endurance because you're a runner? Do you need endurance because you're a fighter? Your training will look different depending on what you actually need, and without clear structure, definitions, and a process to be able to achieve that, chances are you're probably not, which means you're leaving potential on the table, and chances of getting out of injuries and overcoming pain also is much less if you don't know how to actually give your body what it needs. Knowing how to train in a way that enhances your capacity but also manages and reduces fatigue as much as possible helps you to be able to make as much progress as possible while reducing the amount of recovery that you need to make that progress. Every single form of movement and exercise occurs within this framework of movement, because this is simply what a human body can do and not what an activity gets a human body to do. So we've distilled the complexity of the human body and exercise science into simple frameworks that you can understand and use to create the training programs that you need to reach your goals. And now I want you to feel this. So let me take a step back. This is your workspace, and we're defining this as the 4 directions: up, at the front, at the back, and then down. And so I just want you to feel this for a second, lifting your arm all the way up, and then bringing it all the way to the front, across your body, then bringing it all the way down, all the way back and up out to the side. And just notice, now as we push to the edges in all directions, you're starting to feel the bounds of your workspace. So as we're lifting our arm across our body, do you feel any sort of tightness? Do you feel any sort of pinching sensations? As we lift our arm up overhead, Do you feel any sort of tightness? Do you feel any sort of pinching sensations? Are movements smooth? As we bring our arm out to the side, again, is there anything notable here with any sort of pain, sensations? Does it feel easy to move here? Does it feel harder to control this range? And then bringing our arm back down to the wood's bottom, does this now feel easier than the other ranges? Do we have any pinching or pain or tightness here? As we get used to this, we can actually start to understand what's happening in our training altogether. So a lot of the time people are doing exercises, but they're kind of just doing the same movements. So you might have a couple different exercises that are just doing the same movements. And so when we think about what we're actually doing in our training and the inputs that we've got in our training and what the outputs will be, if we don't look at things from a workspace perspective, we're probably not going to understand what we're actually giving to our body, why it has the problems that it has, and what we would actually need to give to our body to resolve and prevent these problems in the future. If from the center of the circle here, we drew a line across our body like this because we do some chest flies, great. So we're training all the way to the front, right? And maybe we do some work to the back doing shoulder flies, and that's great. But we're not really spending time here. We're not really getting stronger all the way back. We're just kind of focusing on lifting more or lifting heavier. Then our training is kind of going to be biased towards the front. And maybe we also do lots of pressing, chest press, bench press, shoulder press. We've got quite a lot of focus happening at the front upper regions, but we're not really training the back upper regions or the back lower regions. We might end up having a body that's only able to really function in these lower front regions because we're not maintaining the other side of the joint. We're not maintaining everything else that that area of the body can do. At the bottom, specifically because our arm's down here all the time, so it's kind of easier to be there. And again, also at the bottom, because when we are training everything here at the front, but we aren't training the things at the back, our body tends to shift into a forward posture position, which actually is then restricting that movement more. And that might look something like this. You can see here with one of my clients, when we first started, he had a very rounded shoulder posture position. His lower back was pushed forwards and in a bit of a lordotic curvature there, excessive. And he was experiencing pain in his lower back and his shoulders and his neck, and just experiencing general tightness, restrictions. And it was impacting his ability to train. It was impacting his recovery, his sleep, his well-being. And so we needed to make sure that he was doing exercises that were actually going to be helping his body and not just pushing it harder, making sure that we're actually building that system and not breaking it down. And so what this is showing here is that white dot is in the center of the joint, but everything around it is pushed forwards. So why wouldn't we feel some sort of pinching pain in our shoulder? Why wouldn't we feel some sort of strain pulling onto our neck because our shoulders are dropping forwards? Of course that's going to happen. But without understanding these frameworks, it seems really unknowable, unfixable, hopeless. But when you understand this, you understand what you would need to do to be able to actually support your body to resolve these issues. And when you follow the frameworks, when you follow the process, and when you commit to it, you end up with results like these. This is just a few months apart. Switching up his training a bit, making sure that he gives his body what it needs to be able to come back into alignment, to build capacity on both sides of the joint, all the way through the workspace. And you can see the difference here. He's not taller, he's just not compressed like down like a Coke can. His body has been able to lengthen out, his joints are balancing out, no more joint pain happening because he understood what he needed to do to resolve those problems in his body, and then he did that. And now he knows how to do that, he knows how to do that for life. So what to train? Well, simply put, hashtag get strong everywhere. What don't you want to be moving well? What don't you want to be strong? Two simple sayings: use it or lose it, train it to maintain it. If you aren't looking after your body, it's not going to be looked after. Let's just think about this in a different way for a second. Did you brush your teeth today? You did. Great. Right, all of your teeth, and the whole way around each one, and you did this today, you did this yesterday, the day before, multiple times a day. And you don't like spending time doing that, but you do like the results that it gets you. Okay, so why would your joints be any different? We aren't brushing our joints. We aren't training and maintaining. Why would we not have issues coming up? And so which parts of your body do you not want to work well? So the key isn't which parts of your body do you want or not want to work well. The key is simply what is the most effective way to make sure that I'm brushing my joints, that I'm maintaining my body, because that is going to give you the capacity to move through life and actually enjoy it, but also to be able to hit higher levels of performance and have health and performance for a longer amount of time in life. Because really, everyone exists somewhere on a scale from patient to performer. If you're in the reds, your whole body is just, it's all pain. If you're in the green, everything's great, happy times. But most people are somewhere in between. Maybe a certain part of your body is in pain. Maybe it's in pain a lot. You've got a really bad hip, or maybe it's in pain a little bit. You've got some shoulder pain that's showing up, some discomfort. And what we need to do is actually understand that these areas of your body are going to need specific training. Not just the whole body, but just breaking it down from that global into the local, which specific areas need what, how to give it to those, and then making sure that you're giving it to it consistently enough in order to transform your body from patient to performer. And this is a steady process, because really the goals and principles of rehabilitation and training are the same. For rehab, we need the SAID principle, which is basically specificity. Specific adaptations happen to impose demands. Your body gets better at whatever you get it to do, not at the things you don't get it to do. Progressive overload, steadily progressing over time, making sure that you're challenging your body so it has something to adapt to. Strengthening and conditioning, giving your body the ability to be strong but also for long. And then building this resilience and this adaptability so that your body is able to actually do this for a longer amount of time, and there's carry over to doing lots of different activities. Not just can you be strong in the gym, but can you also be strong when you're out for a hike on the mountain, or playing with your kids, or doing a new type of activity that you haven't done before? Does your system have capacity? Not just can you push your body? And then in training, we kind of want the same things: specificity, progression, strength and conditioning, resilience and adaptability. And so it really doesn't matter where you are between patient and performer, where different body parts are. What matters is the starting point, because you are going to need something different for another person, and one part of your body is going to need something different from another part of your body. But when you start working on those things, when you progress them, when you get back to that baseline level, you have a solid foundation where your whole body is healthy and functional. And this solid foundation can be built upon progressively to make sure that you're able to achieve higher and higher levels of performance without sacrificing your joint health or your well-being. And when you learn and apply these frameworks, you experience transformation. And these are stories of transformation, not just before and afters in the usual sense. These are examples of what happens when you stop asking, how can I push my body harder? And you start asking, how can I build my system to be better? How do I build a system that can actually support me and my life? Different people, different injuries, different goals, but the same underlying shift. They stopped operating beyond their capacity and they learned how to expand it. And so what happens when you learn and apply these frameworks is that you have a story of transformation. You listen to your body. You interpret what your body is saying. You understand what you need to give your body, and then you give it to it. And you keep on giving it to your body. You listen, you adapt, and you build upon that. And when you do that, Maybe you're a yoga teacher, a nurse, a mum, a model, an artist. Maybe you're experiencing pain in your neck, your lower back, your hips. Maybe this has impacted your ability to teach. Maybe this has impacted your ability to work in the hospital and help other people. Maybe this has impacted your ability to walk, and you cannot walk without pain that is preventing you from being able to actually show up in life without the fear of taking your next step. So now I want you to reflect on your own body. Not just how it feels when you train it, but how it supports you in your work, in your relationship, in the things you love doing outside of the gym. Because when your body can't keep up with life, life just feels overwhelming. Most people respond to pain and injuries in one of two ways. They either stop and lose capacity and progress, or they push harder and they accumulate more damage. Very few ever learn how to train wiser. Not because they're lazy, not because they don't care, because no one ever taught them the system that their body is operating within. No one ever taught them the framework of movement. Maybe you work in the office, or maybe you lift weights and you do boxing, or you're a footballer. Maybe you're experiencing scoliosis or severe compression on your spine that's creating chronic pain and preventing you from being able to perform at your best. Maybe it's contributing to more severe mental health or decreased well-being that's impacting neurodivergency. People have experienced all of these things and had improvements in all of these things because they have listened to their body and because they have given their body what the body needed and not just what the mind wanted. And maybe you're a professional. I had the pleasure of working with some fantastic coaches and athletes in the health and fitness industry, from bodybuilding to performance and athletics to somatics and rehabilitation. These are high-level, great coaches and teachers, and by helping them to take the ceiling off of their limits, but to also reset their foundations, they now have the foundations needed to progress more and do what they love without restrictions, without slowing down, and without that loss of momentum and purpose. Every person that you've seen today and everyone that is watching this is operating somewhere along that continuum, somewhere from patient to performer. The principles are the same, but the starting point is different. You don't move forward by pretending you're further along than you are. You move forward by training appropriately for where you actually are now. This is what we do in the body and movement aspect of Avatar Evolution, helping people to understand what their body is, how it functions, how to train and maintain it, and giving them foundations for a healthy and high-performing body for the rest of their life. Not just a rehab program, not just a workout, not just another trend, but as a way to understand your human operating system and how to navigate it intentionally, giving you the skill set to operate your body in a way that aligns with what you want in your life. But we do more than that. We help people to take the same level of understanding and apply that to their heart, their emotions, their mind, their thinking, and their life, how this all connects and integrates together, so that you can understand how each of these elements that create your human being work and how you can operate them and navigate them intentionally to create a life that really resonates with you and to live in a way that is fulfilling and helps you to be able to help yourself, your family, your community, your clients, and really just embody a deep sense of love for who you are and what you do. Of course, everyone's different goals, different starting points, but underneath it, we all want to make sure that our bodies are looked after, our loved ones are looked after, and we live an enjoyable life. And this is why we created Avatar Evolution, the human operating system blueprint, helping you to understand the body, heart, and mind in a way that allows you to live in alignment and with purpose, so that you can think, feel, move, and live in a way that really feels good, helps you to achieve your goals, and helps you to help other people to achieve their goals. We weren't given a driving license for our human being when we were born. We barely got one growing up, and yet we have to do this for the cars that we drive to know how to do it safely and effectively. But when did we ever get the tutorial for our body and mind? Without knowing how to do that, of course we're going to have issues, but you can see even just from what you've learned today that understanding things in clear scientific frameworks gives you that driving license. It gives you back your autonomy to stop asking, where will I find out how to fix myself, and start understanding my body is always guiding me to live in a way that prevents problems happening in the first place. We just didn't know how to listen until now. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you, any feedback as well. And of course, we are about to launch Avatar Evolution January 30th. And if you would like to speed fold your next chapter, understand how to be able to move through 2026 in a way that is not creating more problems for you, but is creating solutions and helping you to finish up 2026 in a way that would have made you feel proud and progressive in 2025, we're here. We're about to get started, and we're waiting for you to join us. We'll see you there. Enjoy.